Hello everyone. My group is formed by Sebastián Urrego, Wilmar Suescun, Santiago Yepes, and myself, Victoria Suarez. Today we are going to talk about India and its economic, financial, and public policy. India is one of the emerging economies. Its capital is New Delhi. The most practiced religion is Hinduism. Its official currency is the rupee, and its form of government is a federal republic based on a parliamentary democracy. It has an approximate population of 1,400 million inhabitants and an approximate area of 3,300,000 square kilometers. Therefore, it has an approximate demographic density of 377 inhabitants per square kilometer. We can say that India is a labor intensive country.
Alright, now that we know about the India's profile, let's make a little economic overview and then talk about its trade policy. India is a country that has been making economic reforms and changes in its trade policy over the last decades. After its independence from the United Kingdom, its policies were tilted towards protectionist socialism and developed its economy under the Keynesian model of import substitution. However, during the 90s decade, the government began a series of economic reforms that involved lowering barriers to foreign investment and entrepreneurship. Until today, India is still adjusting to the free market economy. Now we have here some tariffs that India applies to some products. The average customs tariff is around the 15%. However, the higher tariffs that India applies are for products such as the alcoholic beverages, coffee, tea, and species that are above the 100%. Also, we can see below some other tariffs and products that India applies. On the other hand, there are some products that they don't have any tariff, such as the bovine, sheep, and lamb skins. It is important to say that the trend is for these tariffs to decrease over the time because, as we said at the beginning, India is still opening to the free market economy, so that's going to be reduced in the next years. Now we have here the subsidies that India applies on this table that we can see on the screen. But it's very important to mention that during the last years, because of the different global events such as the COVID-19 pandemic and also because of the war between Russia and Ukraine, the prices of all the products have increased worldwide, especially products related with energy such as the oil and the gas. For this reason, the Indian government has considerably increased the subsidies to these sectors. The Ministry of Petroleum and Natural Gas approved a one-time grant of $2.67 billion to the three public oil marketing companies in India. Also, the government has applied a subsidy of $20.64 billion for the fertilizers. For the food sector, the government also applied a subsidy of 90% for the cultivation of strawberries and other crops. And in the same sector, has applied a subsidy of $10 billion for the sugar production. Now we have here the import quotas of India. We have that in the marble. They have an import quota of 100,000 tons per year. For products like the peas, there's an import quota of 150,000 metric tons. And for the flour and pellets, there's an import quota of 1.2 million tons. Other trade policy that India has is an export tax called the education rate, which is charged at 2% of the total customs duty. This tax was introduced as a special domestic measure to increase special resources for investment in education. And now we have here the trade partners of India, countries that India has trade agreements with, that are Australia, the United Arab Emirates, APTA, that are the Asia Pacific countries, ASEAN, that are the Southeast Asia countries, Chile, Mercosur, Japan, Korea, and many other countries.
Pattern of trade. In India, we can show that the country has had a negative trade balance since 1999, which infers that it probably continue to be negative in the future until the country decides to change its investments and control imports. In fact, the country it's making many imports that could satisfy its market with the right decisions. Regarding to the competitive advantage, we can say that India has a large textile industry that is gaining strength more and more. Although textiles are not the most exported product, but it is to which the country is contributing its development.
India has the following forms of integration: South Asian Association for Cooperation, Bay of Bengal Initiative, Indian Ocean Basin Association, and in addition, it has trade agreements with Asia Pacific and bilateral agreements with Sri Lanka, Singapore, Chile, Mercosur, South Korea, Pakistan, the European Union, New Zealand, and Mauritius. India's balance of payments reflected that in times of pandemic, it had a deficit in its financial account and greater indebtedness. However, it demonstrated this year that it was able to recover with an increase of 3.9 million in its primary income.